Shakur Stevenson. Shakur Stevenson, the next potential American great superstar, the next potential American Hall of Famer, the next potential American megastar. Maybe he won't become that megastar like a Floyd Mayweather Jr. in terms of pay-per-view numbers, but maybe he can become that superstar in terms of talent and pound-for-pound rankings. But I think he's a good talker. I think Bob Arum will do a good job with him. They have a good machine over there with ESPN that could push a fight if they wanted to. We saw how Showtime handled the Tyson Fury vs. Deontay Wilder 1. It got 275,000, 300,000 pay-per-view buys. We saw how ESPN has handled it. Anywhere between 800 to 1.2 million buys in the first fight. And anywhere between 600 and 800,000 buys in the second fight. I know it's nothing tremendous. Well, it is actually pretty good, but it's not as big as what Bob Arum was trying to say. But it's much bigger than what they're doing in Showtime. So I still think ESPN and Top Rank have a bigger machine behind them than the PBC and Showtime. In my opinion, my humble opinion. Because so far, the PBC have not made any superstars. They do have a superstar now fighting on one of their shows in Canelo Alvarez, but they're not the ones that made that superstar. It's Golden Boy. And I'm telling you right now, Ryan Garcia has a much bigger chance to become a superstar than Gervonta Davis, also a Golden Boy fighter. They've been trying to make Gervonta Davis and Errol Spence Jr. into superstars, but they're not superstars. Gervonta Davis is yet to even crack 250,000 pay-per-view buys. Errol Spence Jr. It's usually with when he's fighting Latino fighters where he gets those big buys. He won't draw the same thing if he's fighting you guys. Even Manny Pacquiao, his name died when he was fighting on the PBC and Showtime banner. Where Top Rank with HBO and now with the ESPN, I believe they just got a bigger machine behind them. I think they got people that know how to control. Even though I think that maybe the PBC, not maybe, PBC has much more talented fighters than both Golden Boy and Top Rank. Because you got to think about it, the Charlos, Castellano, all the big time welterweights. They got even Ennis Boots on the come up. They got Super Featherweights and Figueroa and Fulton. They got Regan Down. They got Casemiro. They got all the guys, all the talent in the world. They just don't know how to push them, in my humble opinion. Even though they gave us great fights this year. Even they gave us great fights last year with the COVID lockdown. So they give us good fights. They match their fighters up, but I just don't think they have a machine good enough to make a superstar. Because people will point out to say, but Al Hammond did make Floyd Mayweather Jr., but I just think Floyd Mayweather Jr. was a special type of guy who could be a superstar no matter who controlled his career. And you could make an argument that Top Rank was the one. And also you can make an argument that beating De La Hoya made him a superstar. Because also when Manny Pacquiao beat De La Hoya, that's what pushed him into stardom. That's what started all the pay-per-view bites. It's like if you could beat Canelo Alvarez in this time. If you could beat Canelo Alvarez, you can be a superstar. Like if Caleb Plant, or Caleb Plant, however you want to say it, would beat Canelo Alvarez, he could be a potential superstar. Especially if we can do it twice, because there is a rematch clause. But if it's not through what Golden Boy created, Oscar De La Hoya, I haven't ever seen a route becoming a superstar. Obviously, the heavyweights are different. The heavyweights are completely different. And a few people were talking and saying that we're overhyping Shakur Stevenson's victory over Jamal Herring. Who has Jamal Herring beat? I'll give you one name only, Carl Frampton. He dominated a very tough guy. He retired Carl Frampton. He did not dominate Carl Frampton. He retired Carl Frampton. Many people thought Shakur Stevenson could not fight on the inside. If he got roughed up, he will shrink under the lights if he got roughed up in a big fight, which he didn't. Every time Jamal Herring tried to rough up Shakur Stevenson answered. It's been a while since I've been hyped up for a fight like I was yesterday, mid-fight. He was teeing off on Jamal Herring, and Jamal Herring couldn't do absolutely anything. I know he still has a very young career. He still needs more names on his resume. But I already got Shakur Stevenson in my top 10 pay-per-view. Top 10 pound-for-pound fighters. Excuse me. And looking at his resume, he completely schooled and outclassed Joet Gonzalez, the same Joet Gonzalez that gave Emmanuel Navarrete a war. And he beat Jamal Herring by TKO. He's been looking completely unstoppable throughout his career so far. But obviously, he needs more fights. I have him number 1 at 130. But he needs to fight Oscar Valdez. And he's calling for the Oscar Valdez fight. It's Oscar Valdez who's not in a hurry to take that fight. But in my opinion, he needs to fight Oscar Valdez sooner rather than later. And he might have. And I say he might because I don't think this guy could beat Shakur Stevenson. But he might have a potential rival at PBC who goes by the name of Chris Colbrett. I like Chris Colbrett. I really like him. He has a record of 16 wins, no losses, 6 knockouts. He beat Jezreel Corrales, former unified super featherweight champion of the world. Was he unified or lineal? No, he was lineal. He beat Takashi Uchima. But he did get knocked out by Alberto Machado. Alberto Machado, right after beating Jezreel Corrales, got stopped by Andrew Cancio. Andrew Cancio got beat by Rene Alvarado. And Rene Alvarado just recently lost to back-to-back fights to Roger Guerrero. So Roger Guerrero is now the lineal super featherweight champion of the world. But nevertheless, I still think at number 1, I got Shakur Stevenson. So Oscar Valdez coming in at, I believe, number 2. I got him ranked. Let me check my rankings because I did believe that Oscar Valdez lost. Oscar Valdez did lose his last fight to Cancio. Yeah, I got Valdez at 2, Cancio at 3, Burchell at 4, Rahimov at 5, Herring at 6, Colbrett at 7, Farmer at 8, Guerrero at 9, and Alvarado at 10. Even though I know Guerrero is the lineal champion, quote unquote. Well, you could claim there's no lineal champion right now, but if you want to say the man who beat the man that beat the man, it would technically be Guerrero. It goes all the way back to Jezreel Corrales when he beat Uchiyama. So I think Shakur Stevenson would also be a huge player at lightweight, even though I got Tio at number 1, Loma at number 2, Devin Haney at number 3, Ryan Garcia at number 4, if Ryan Garcia ever fights again in his career. 5, Gervonta Tank Davis, 6, Richard Comey, 7, Jojo Diaz, 8, Jorge Linares, 9, Nakatani, and number 10, George Kambosos. That's my top 10 at lightweight. I gave you all my top 10 at super featherweight. Let me know in the comments below. Where do you see Shakur Stevenson going by the time his career is over? Will he retire undefeated? I doubt it. It's hard to retire undefeated. We can't get a Floyd Mayweather and a Joe Calzaghe all the time. Those guys comes one or twice in a generation. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you guys think he'll ever ascend to the number 1 spot in the pound-for-pound rankings? I already got him number 10. If he can beat Oscar Valdez. And that's a big if. Oscar Valdez is not a bad fighter, even though Canciano, I believe, beat him. Well, he beat him like 115, 113, 116, 112. It's not like he schooled Valdez. Valdez is no easy fighter. And Valdez, I predicted he would beat Miguel Burchell, but I didn't think he'd beat him in that fashion. I thought he would outbox Miguel Burchell. Still, give me your thoughts on a potential Shakur Stevenson versus Oscar Valdez showdown, and let me know where you guys think Shakur Stevenson will finish his career. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. It would greatly help the channel grow. Sadiq Boxing out.